All right. Hello, everyone. This is the Engineering Success Podcast, episode 14. My name is Daniel Dollinger, and I am your host. Yes, we are back at it again for our 14th round of whatever this is. For those of you in the future that are watching the video version of this podcast, which again, I'm on episode 14 and YouTube has seen episode 3. So it's going to take a minute. But for those of you tracking, I have added a little fuzzy thing that goes over my microphone, and I have a new boom stand, which is pretty exciting. So yeah, just continuing to glow up with this setup here. It's pretty fun. I kind of had just been taking whatever disposable fun money I have, and I'm just kind of pouring it into this. Okay, just kidding. It's not really that much money. All the stuff I buy is from the Amazon return store. Shout out to Black Friday deals. I'm addicted to that place, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy doing this, and I hope that you guys enjoy the podcast as well. We're on episode 14. I guess I can do the regular intro stuff. Shout out to our first supporter of the podcast, sabeanandcheese.net. Yeah, that's our first top tier, every single episode supporter, sabeanandcheese.net. It is San Antonio's premier bean and cheese taco review website. Shout out to the anonymous host of the blog, Instagram, Twitter page for SA Bean and Cheese, recently featured in the San Antonio Current. So if you're into small hole-in-the-wall Tex-Mex Mexican restaurants in San Antonio and surrounding, sabeanandcheese.net is definitely the place for you to go for that. They rate every single taqueria that they go to purely based on the bean and cheese taco, because if you can't do a bean and cheese taco right, what are you doing? So anyways, thank you to sabeanandcheese.net for becoming our first top tier supporter. Other things going on, if you like the podcast, make sure to give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and like us on, or whatever positive thing you can do to interface with the podcast. Download it, save it, like it, share it, recommend it to your friends. Make sure you do that. It really helps me out. And then lastly, if you have your own questions that you want answered by me, which I don't know why you'd do that. You probably just listen to this to see whether or not you agree with me and my advice, because that's why we listen to advice podcasts anyways, right? It's just to see if we agree with the advice. But if you have any questions, feel free to write in at engring.success@gmail.com. That's engr, just like it would show up in a course catalog, ing.success@gmail.com. And it can be about anything related to engineering, career advice, early career advice, late career advice, anything that you want me to respond to, even if you know the answer to it. But if you want to hear my take, I am happy to answer your question. All right, so we're going to start the podcast off this week with a segment that I started earlier, and it was good news. So I think that this is a good one to read out a story from engineering students subreddit to help kind of motivate people that have been applying for jobs and they're just not quite getting what they want. So the title is "It Can Be Done, Fellas, Really." And they say, AE major, so I'm guessing aerospace engineering, sub 3.0 GPA, no internships, no relatives working in the industry to hook it up, no letters of recommendation, and no crazy cool personal projects to show off. And today, I just accepted a full-time offer at a large engineering company for $80,000 a year after applying to companies like a maniac since my graduation and interviewing with 6 companies that basically told me to F off. They're not as filtered as me. I don't know who needed to see this, but I know that many times when I was applying to jobs endlessly and getting either ghosted forever or rejected with no feedback, and I would check out this subreddit, I would see people going through the same thing, except they had 2 internships or co-ops under their belts. greater than 3.0 GPA, sometimes greater than 3.5, and had awesome personal projects as well. It made me think that I would never, ever be able to get an engineering job. I mean, if they can't, how the F will I? It got so bad I started exploring using my engineering degree to go into some accounting/finance jobs since they pay decent. Phew. So alas, before I depart this subreddit, I wanted to leave what I hope is a glimmer of hope in a sea of stress. Some people will get a job right away. Some people will have to send out 100 applications. Some people, just by bad luck, might have to work even harder than that. But it will work out at the end. As for me, I would say what helped me out the most is the attention and work I put into my resume, cover letters, as well as the interview itself. Bad news to everyone that is in a position like mine, we're gonna have to overcompensate for our crap grades. So I spend weeks, maybe months, continuously updating and polishing my resumes, practicing my presentation and interview skills, practicing the CAD and coding software I use in college to make sure I remain proficient at them, and just overall interview after interview, learning to emphasize my soft skills that set me apart. Fast learner, great communicator, yada yada, rather than try to go resume versus resume with the other candidates that have like 2 internships and hella bullet points. Nah. So, good luck to everyone still job searching. It's depressing and unfair as S, but I promise if you keep going, the stars will eventually align and you will be so effing proud that you did not give up earlier. And I thought that was something to share as kind of a positive thing, especially with COVID. A lot of people graduated without internship experience, and I know plenty of people, regardless of what their grades were, that have been able to get jobs. What I'm told is it's a hot job market. I know it's definitely hot for people that are experienced. I don't know if it's as hot for people that are fresh graduates, but definitely I know a lot of companies that are starting to hire. My company is starting to hire entry-level positions again. So I think that the job market is pretty good. So definitely keep on applying and recognize what your strengths are and what you need to work on. And I'm sure that with enough work, you'll get the job that you're hoping for, or a job. So wishing everybody the best of luck, and I figured I'd share that. That being said, it kind of emphasizes also how important it is to get an internship, because it definitely will make your life easier. So make sure that you're hunting for those internships, but shout out to this person. All right, let's go into the questions for this week. First question is, do jobs typically care that much about ABET accreditation when hiring? They go on to say, I'm currently doing a major in aerospace engineering that is still a pretty new major for our school and likely won't be ABET accredited for another 6 or so years. Is that going to be much of a problem once I start job searching after college? So I would say yes. I would say that the one question that my company that hired me asked was, now they knew that my degree name was kind of funky. It wasn't mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, chemical engineering, but they did ask, is your degree ABET accredited? That was like a straight hardline requirement for me to get my job. So again, I work for an established engineering EPC contractor, so they're a little bit more rigid, not as rigid as companies can go, but definitely on the more rigid side compared to like your traditional mom and pop shop. But they definitely did care, and I would say that graduating from university without ABET accreditation is just kind of setting yourself behind other people when you don't necessarily really need to do that, unless you like really think that the program is preparing you well. Yeah, I mean, you could like the campus environment, you could like your friends, you could like everything else, but remember that college is, to an extent, an investment and in yourself. And why put yourself further behind other people? Why make it more difficult for you to become licensed as a professional engineer if that's something you want to pursue? Become an engineer in training. Why set yourself behind in that way whenever there are plenty of other aerospace, I think this person's aerospace engineering programs out there that are ABET accredited. And then I've done just like a light bit of research in that. I don't think it takes 6 years to get accredited if the university is investing properly in the program. So that's another red flag for me. I think that it takes less time than that, but I'm not an expert on ABET accreditation, so maybe somebody can write in and tell me I'm wrong. But I would say go with an ABET accredited program, either at that university or transfer and do an ABET accredited program somewhere else, because that's a major red flag to me. And if I were a hiring manager hiring an entry-level person, that would be a really big red flag. So, all right, next question. Should I skip class to go to a private engineering event to network? They go on to say basically the title. There's going to be free food and lots of people there with internships and job opportunities from what I've been told. The only thing holding me back is I would be skipping the class I have an exam for next week. So I'm trying to decide whether it's worth skipping that class session for this. Yeah, as somebody who skipped multiple classes to fly across the country to attend a conference and career fair for networking, and I would say yes, definitely worth it. You're at school to prepare yourself to get a job. Getting an internship is in many instances, and maybe it's a little bit contrary to the first question there, but it's very helpful to you getting a job. In fact, maybe a little bit more helpful than you attending that one class. So as long as you don't feel like you're putting yourself in a position where you're going to really hurt yourself in that class and then impact your future with graduating and such, I would definitely go to the networking event. And even maybe I'm sure it sounds like there's other students that might be in the same boat as you. So maybe get together with them and mention to this professor, hey, we're here to try to get jobs, right? So we're going to try to go to this networking event. We're going to miss your class, but we're going to come to office hours. Or is there anything you can do to help us get caught up from missing this class to prep for your exam? Anything, little things like that. I mean, if they're a jerk, then they might just say, screw off. But if they're nice, then they might even have a little extra session to help you get caught up for what you missed. So it kind of just depends on the professor and your relationship with them. But I would say yes. I think I skipped classes to go to career fairs in college. I skipped classes to, people skip classes because they're hungover. I think you can skip one class to attend a private networking event. I mean, maybe I don't know. I got a lot of classes, and I'm not trying to poo-poo on going to class. You definitely should go to class, but in general. But yeah, I think that this is a little more important, especially if you think that it's going to really, really help you get a job. So I would say definitely go to the event. All right. Next question. This one's interesting. I saw this one and I was like, I got to talk about this one. So the question is it ever worth doing internships where you have to pay the company? Sorry, I'm tired. It's like late and working hard. Is it ever worth doing internships where you have to pay the company? All right. So background, this person's in India. But I'm going to go ahead and I got that from reading their conversations back and forth. But they go on to say, so I have 1 year left to complete my electronics degree, and I felt like this is the right time to apply for an internship and get some industry experience. You're right. It is the right time to apply for an internship and get some industry experience. Maybe you should have done it earlier too, but it's definitely a good time. One of my professors told me about a certain company which took interns. Their website specified about the internship. Sorry. And it seemed perfect for me. They didn't mention anything about the pay though, so I just assumed it would be an unpaid internship. I applied for it, and soon they called me back to inform me that there would be a test to check my knowledge, and that I had to pay $1.5 thousand US for a 6-month internship. They also mentioned how I could get a free internship, unpaid of course, if I scored a mere 100% on the test. In the test they mentioned, I was so excited for finally getting a response from a company, but now I'm completely lost. There's no way I can afford $1.5 thousand US anyways. TLDR, applied for internship. Company asked me to take a test. Pay nothing if I get 100%. Else pay $1.5K. I was wondering if anyone knows if it's ever worth to go for an internship where you pay the company. No. Now, again, I'm answering this from the lens of a US-based company, US-based person, but so I know you're in India, but I want to work for a company that wants to invest in me and wants me to grow and values me. Those are the things that are important to me when looking at companies to work for. So if I were in your position, I'd say, well, this company wants me to either pay them to work for them or work for free. I'm not seeing that the company wants to invest in me. I'm not seeing that the company values me or my time. So that doesn't line up with my values, and that's just not the type of company I would want to work for. I wouldn't want to work for a company as a full-time employee if I found out that they had unpaid interns. For me, that's just unethical and wrong to have unpaid interns. So those of you out there that I get it, there's it's competitive and it's hard, and some people are just privileged enough to be able to handle having an unpaid internship. But the companies out there that employ unpaid interns, you suck. I don't like you. I don't ever want to work for you. I don't want to be around you. I don't want to work with you, because that's just disgusting to me. I know that's kind of like might come off as like really harsh or a hard line to people that are listening, but I mean, if you don't value somebody enough to pay them a wage, then I mean, if a company doesn't value you enough to pay you a wage as an intern, what makes you think that they're gonna actually give you the experience and the opportunity to do things that would help you grow in your career? What makes you think that they're going to be a good employer to work for full time afterwards? I just don't like the idea of the companies like, yeah, you can intern for free for the opportunity to potentially get a job with us later. Like, what kind of company is that? I mean, who would want to work for that? That just means, am I going to be underpaid my entire career? Am I going to have to battle you to get fairly compensated for my time? Are you going to value my work-life balance, my time inside and out of work, whenever you didn't pay me anything to work for you? No, that's just wrong and terrible. So, long story short, no, it's never worth it to go for an internship where you pay the company. Because some people say, yeah, get experience, but what experience? I mean, experience working for a crappy company, connections with people that work for a crappy company. I would just rather work as a technician or a helper or whatever that gets paid to work for a reputable company where I can work with people that are engineers than do that. That's just that's kind of crazy for me to, I guess. I mean, again, it's not in the U.S., but it's just crazy to me. And I've heard that, you know, that's actually fairly common in India, which is sad, and which is why one of the reasons why, you know, so many people on the telephone scams and such are out of India is because people actually have to spend money to land a legitimate job, and that's just kind of sad. So I wish you the best, and I hope that you find a job with a company that values you and will pay you appropriately. But in general, no, don't work for a company where you have to pay them to work for them. That's just ridiculous. All right, let's go on. All right, this one is from Reddit's Ask Engineers subreddit. They say, got a job offer. Critique my negotiation email. The background is received a job offer after being unemployed for about a month, $67,000 US salary, and 1 week of PTO. I wanted to negotiate closer to my range of 70 to 75K and 2 weeks PTO. Reasonable. Sent the email, specifically asking if they were flexible on those parts of the offer to avoid being rude. But the negotiation backfired and the employer rescinded their offer by saying they decided to go in a different direction. In an effort to treat it like a learning experience, I have a couple questions. Here's the reply I initially sent. Good evening, Mr. Employer. Thank you so much for offering me the mechanical engineer position. I truly believe I will be a strong asset to your department, and I look forward to working with the team. Before I can accept, I would like to discuss the proposed salary and paid vacation time listed in the job offer. Am I correct in understanding that vacation time is fixed at 1 week per year and does not increase with tenure? Ultimately, I am looking for a salary close to $73,000 and 2 weeks of vacation time. What flexibility does company have with these aspects of the offer? Thank you for your time, and I look forward to hearing from you soon. And here's the reply I received at 3 p.m. today. Unfortunately, we will not be able to match your requests. Thank you for your time, and good luck on your job hunting. Thank you, employer. I asked if I could accept the initial offer and apologized if there's any miscommunication, which is when I got the "we have decided to go in a different direction" response. Is there something I did wrong with my email? What can I do better next time? Does simply being unemployed make it seem like I have no right to negotiate? So, quickly, your questions, and then I'll talk more. Is there something you did wrong with your email? In my opinion, no. What can you do better next time? Find a better company to apply at. And the last question, does simply being unemployed make it seem like I have no right to negotiate? No. Again, you're a human being that is valuable, and your time is valuable. And 1 week of vacation is not of PTO, not even vacation, but of PTO. So I assume that's vacation and personal. That's not industry standard. Industry standard is a minimum 2 weeks. And as for your salary, I mean, I don't know your background with salary, but simply asking for flexibility, I would always encourage doing that, because for reputable companies that you would want to work for, the worst thing that they should say is, no, sorry, we don't have any flexibility. And then y'all kind of looking at each other like Spider-Man, pointing at each other like, all right, now what are you going to do? And then you get to make your decision about whether or not you want to work for them. The fact that this company pulled your offer after you asked for the industry standard of PTO, and then you did the normal thing, which is try to move a little bit on salary. Everybody does this, or everybody should do this. The fact that they just completely pulled away your offer is just kind of crazy to me. Again, hot job market. People are not that desperate to get engineering jobs right now. I feel like everybody I know, most people that I know that have a little experience, have landed pretty quickly on their feet finding other jobs. So, I think that the learning experience is that this was really good practice for you, doing this, and maybe next time, I don't know, try doing it over a phone call so you can kind of get a better sense of the tone, so you're not kind of left off going, what? I don't know what happened. Maybe try to do it with a phone call, or send an email, say, hey, can I talk to you about the offer? Because it's just a lot easier to understand tone and context whenever you're talking to people on the phone. So that would be the only. Again, I'm just a dude with a microphone, so with an opinion and a microphone. So I hope you find a better company to work for, because that's just kind of weird to me. So wish you the best. And yes, you do have a right to negotiate. All right. Next question. This is on Reddit's civil engineering subreddit. So they ask, will civil engineers, and then I'll just transpose this to engineers in general, be replaced by AI software in the near future? And then they don't elaborate on their question. I thought this was a super cool question, because either my first semester or second semester of college, we had a lecture from an engineering professor, shout out to Dr. Josh Schwartz, Dr. Schwartz, one of the cool professors I had at Trinity. And he talked about jobs that will be replaced by robots and software. And he made this argument that basically every job can be replaced by software at some point. And then I can't remember where engineering fell in that line, but it's pretty far down to the end of the line. And there's been a lot of articles about this. And, I think that there are definitely going to be aspects of engineering that are going to get either made easier or, replaced, aspects of the job that will get replaced by AI software. But, the way that we solve problems, new problems, I think it's going to be very difficult for AI to kind of push the edge further than, I don't know, than the engineering mindset. But I think that, there's definitely going to be things that about engineering that get replaced by software. I mean, we used to draft by hand, and now we draft with computers, and they used to do super complex fluid modeling by hand and very simplistic, and now we can run all these softwares to get more accurate models of things and such like that. So there's going to be aspects, but I think that we're always going to need engineers, always need civil engineers, always need engineers, because first of all, who's going to design the software? And second of all, I mean, it's going to be a long time before software catches up, because I don't know about you, but the softwares that I use they're pretty cool, but they're also pretty dumb relative to what I want to do with them. So I think it'll be a long time, probably past our lifetimes. But then again, I don't know how exponentially technology will advance over the years, but I think it's beyond my lifetime that software will replace engineers. So I at least have that to look forward to. But I think a lot of jobs are going to get replaced by robots and software for sure. But I said that about accounting to a friend and who's an accountant, and he gave me a long list of reasons as to why that won't be a thing. But it'll be interesting to see how industries grow as we continue to implement software, and I'm sure that people were saying the same thing years ago. So all right, I'm going to stop and take a break, and we're going to do a little bit of ad reads if I still get ads, so hopefully you get that, and then I'll come right back on the other side of the break. All right, hopefully you got an ad there, and let's get back into the questions. Next question is, has anyone thought to themselves millions of others have or are about to get engineering degrees with no issue, yet here I am struggling with Calc 2 or any other class? Was thinking about that today, and I'm a year behind. I'm a junior taking second semester freshman classes. COVID did a number on me, so I have to catch up, but at times I think to myself, maybe I'm just genetically not smart, and actually start to believe that before thinking how ridiculous it sounds. Not to mention I'm Asian, not East Asian, so even if such ridiculous statements are true, it shouldn't affect me. Okay. All right. Here I am looking at my Physics 1 homework and such, thinking, wow, this looks complicated, before realizing it's just basic stuff and that it's going to get worse, and that others have done much harder stuff with no issue. I see tons of engineering graduates or higher-ups, not even engineering majors, any STEM major or such, that have taken all of these advanced or higher classes with no issue, and here I am struggling. I then realized it's just me being lazy and not putting in the work, so I decided to change that. How am I finding Chem 1 and Cal 2 to be like rocket science when everyone else does it fine? Sure, they complain on the internet or in real life here and there, but they all end up passing in 1 or 2 attempts. It's me that is the issue, nothing else. Not sure if this post even makes sense. Apologizes for the ramble. I just hope that this serves as a motivation or something. Well, first of all, I mean, I graduated in 4 years. I graduated on time, but I wouldn't say that it was no issue. It definitely was a lot of effort and struggles and tough nights and screaming into the pillow, screaming into the void, screaming at my friends ranting at me, ranting together, being exasperated, thinking we're never going to make it out to get to that point, for sure. But eventually, I kind of got into a rhythm with it, and I figured out how to study effectively and how to get through those tough moments, and how to really accept, this is tough as all get out, but yes, I can make it through it. I know what I need to do. I know how to study. I know how to prep for these exams. I know how to solve problems, and I just got to keep on learning these new things and apply my problem solving skills to these new things. And eventually, I did make it out. So, you're a junior and you're taking second semester freshman classes. Okay, so you had a rough first year, and then your second year was COVID year. So, yeah, you had a rough start at it. But is that to say that it's not for you? Calc 2 is hard. I'm so glad I didn't take Calc 2 in college. Like, Calc 2 is so hard. So I wouldn't give up quite yet. I know people that took 3, even 4 tries just trying to get through chemistry, and now they've graduated and they're doing just fine. So, some things are just more difficult for others, but if you get that good foundation, then you might find that the skills and things that you've learned from taking Calc 2 a second time or a third time, that'll give you the foundation you need. We all learn at different paces and stuff, and at some point you have to realize whether or not engineering is for you, and it seems like you know yourself the best, and you think you're still at the point where engineering is for you. So keep it going, keep trying, and yeah, it's going to be a struggle, but if you have the right people around you and the right study habits and the right mindset, then if it's a fit for you, then you'll make it through. So, but yeah, I wouldn't find it motivational, but I would say that a lot of people struggle. It's a lot easier to look back at things that were hard and say and not realize how difficult they were in the moment. It's also really easy in the moment to take something that in the grand scheme of things is rather trivial and make it out to mean more than it actually is. So it's funny how perspective works, but I made it. You can make it. Right, thousands and thousands of millions of others have graduated with engineering degrees and gone on to have great careers, and you can too. So, wish you the best. All right, next question. Next question is titled, "Do not major in engineering technology." Nice. All right, they said, "I made the mistake of getting a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering technology and have found myself unemployed since graduating." I think somebody earlier, last episode of the podcast, was asking about engineering technology. "I've applied to 60 jobs, both in engineering and technician positions, and all to no avail. The engineering positions do not consider a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering technology good enough, and the technician positions value experience, especially former military, above the degree. This essentially leaves me dead on arrival. I've had some internship experience, but never full-time work. This leaves me with either going back to getting a master's in mechanical engineering with additional coursework, or look towards IT comp sci for alternative solutions. Let this be a warning: do not major in engineering technology. ABET accreditation to be damned." Wow. So first of all, to this person, I'd say, listen to my last episode of the podcast and find that subreddit, because there are a bunch of engineering technology grads on there that talked about how they were able to get jobs and develop great careers underneath that tweet, that subreddit, that Reddit thread. So I'd recommend looking at that. But yeah, I wouldn't say don't major in engineering technology. What I would say is, if you have the option to choose between engineering and engineering technology, go engineering every single time. So many more options. And You can do any job that somebody with an engineering technology degree does with an engineering degree, but it doesn't work the other way around. It just doesn't. And just to emphasize, I mean, like I went to an interview and I went to a career fair and somebody said, "Oh, is your degree like engineering science? Is that an engineering technology degree?" I was like, "No, it wasn't." I mean, and they're like, "Oh, okay." I mean, employers are like, "Oh, this is a completely different thing. Like, I can't even look at this." So, yeah, I mean, is it better than not getting a degree in the engineering field? Maybe, but is it anywhere near what an engineering degree is? In my opinion, no. So, and I get the whole hands-on experience, hands-on stuff, but it's not the same. It's not the same, and you're going to be severely limited in your options. So keep that in mind. All right, and next question: should I take a lower title with higher pay? They go on to say, I've been working with a medium-level company in the Bay Area for 1 year and 7 months. I started as a new grad software engineer after completing my master's and was promoted to a senior software engineer about 15 days ago. I was actively interviewing with a couple of companies, and a pretty huge Bay Area company made me an offer. But they are offering me a software engineer role and not a senior role. I was really hoping to get a senior role because I feel the clock will be reset for me and I'll have to wait another 1 to 1.5 years to get promoted again, even though I know I will have the expertise to work as a senior now. The pay at the newer company is going to be 20% higher than my older pay, and I really, really want to join this company, but not at the expense of slowing down my career graph. What should I do? There's Bailey the cat making a guest appearance. You know what I'd say? You have 1 year and 7 months of experience, and you just got promoted to senior software engineer at your medium level company 15 days ago. The reality is that titles are different at all the different companies, you know? They're not the same, you know? Especially in software, you know, titles are definitely, that kind of varies by the company. A senior at one company might be a entry level at another. I mean, I don't know much about the software engineering industry, but with what I do know, I don't think less than 2 years of experience is typically considered senior at all. Whenever I think of senior, I think of at least 10 years of experience. So I think you're getting a little too hung up here on what the title is. And I'd say if the new job, I don't know, I wouldn't hire you as a senior software engineer with 1 year and 7 months of experience. I wouldn't. But that's just me, and I'm just some guy with a microphone. But I would say if it's a good opportunity for growth in general, and better pay, company that you want to work for, then I'd take it. And title be danged, you know. I really wouldn't worry too much about that. So I don't think you're slowing down your career graph. I think that your mentality, your mentality of obsessing over titles will slow down your career graph more than you're taking this cool opportunity with a good company that you want to work for. So no, take the opportunity and don't worry about the title, because you might find that having that title at that company would put you in a situation where you'd fail. Likely the recruiter that recruited you knows your experience and your years of experience and your actual experience, and is putting you in the right position for you. And if you get there and you find out, oh, hey, I'm way overqualified for this, then you can have that conversation then. But likely that recruiter knows more about that company and where you fit in that company than you do. So I wouldn't really worry too much about the title. All right, Bailey Cat, what are you doing, dude? It sounds like we need to end this podcast after this next question. This is the last question because Bailey is just going ham on the microphone. All right, next question is, How does an EE entry-level job, and I'm going to extrapolate this to in general, differ from an internship? I'm finishing up my full-time internship, and I'm wondering if the work I've been doing will be the same if I continue with the company after graduating. I'm working in power distribution, but curious to see what other people's experiences in terms of their internship experience versus their experience as an entry-level engineer just out of college. Yeah, so I worked for my company as an intern, and then I work for them full-time now. And what I'll say is my experience as an intern is that is super formalized corporate internship programs. So lots of events and little extra things that were catered just for me, and lots of other things involved working with other interns and people at my experience level, and like side projects and stuff. And obviously when I start full time, I was much more entrenched in my own team and less with other teams. So a lot more focused on the work product and long-term growth in that role versus just trying to dip my toes into things. As an intern, I was expected to learn a lot of things. And as a full-time employee, I was expected to learn to be able to contribute, at a deeper level. So that's what I would say was the biggest difference for me, from my internship experience and my experience as an entry-level engineer. But the expectations are different. Your manager will treat you differently. I mean, interns are kind of treated as interns. They're college students, and they're given a little more leniency. And obviously, as a new full-time employee, you'll get a little bit of grace and leniency as well. But as you continue to take steps further and further up into growth in your career, the expectations will increase. The type of cross-checking you do, your decorum, that kind of thing will increase. So just keep that in mind, and I'm sure you'll do great. Congrats to you for landing an internship that led to a full-time job. That's sweet. So anyways, best of luck to you. I'm sure that you'll do great. All right, well, that is the podcast. For those of you watching on video, Bailey the cat decided to interrupt the podcast, so I think that means it's time for me to go. But if you like the podcast, make sure to share it with a friend, subscribe, follow it, save it, download it, do whatever you need to do. Rate it 5 stars. If you want to support the podcast, $10 a month gets you a shout out at the beginning of every single podcast episode. $5 a month gets you a shout out at the first episode of every single month. And a one-time donation will get you a one-time shout out on the podcast. So make sure that you take the opportunity to support the podcast, and I will catch you hopefully next week. Cheers. I'm not complaining. My thoughts get complicated. I cannot explain in lameness. Never losing focus because I ain't chasing payments. Still playing in the basement while I'm working on arrangements. They heard the kid in 50 countries. Thank God that's amazing. But I'd rather thank Spotify. They put me on the station.